So in this video, we will be doing another astrological update of Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency sector. And when we can look at the price of Bitcoin, we can also see the general tendencies of cryptocurrencies as a whole, because cryptos, altcoins, all tend to follow the trend of Bitcoin in terms of price movement. And in fact, when Bitcoin increases, altcoins tend to increase to an even greater extent. When Bitcoin decreases, you see even greater losses in altcoins. So if we hone in on Bitcoin, we can see the general trajectory of the markets. And that's what this astrological update series is all about. We're just using astrology to predict where prices could head next. And so in the previous video, what we talked about is how, we talked about how Venus in Capricorn indicated a period of downwards price for cryptocurrency. And Venus entered Capricorn on November 5th. The reason why is because Capricorn is the sign of limitations and is the sign of Saturn. Saturn rules fear, pessimism, restrictions, and it rules traditional forms of finance. So we saw that money, when Venus entered Capricorn, would flow back towards traditional forms. And this decreases the price of Bitcoin because it indicates people selling their Bitcoin. And we saw that in the chart, this was largely due to people wanting to pay off debt. And so where we were in the previous video is that we were at this downwards point, and we covered why I believe this was the bottom, or why it could be the bottom, and why we could see a trend reversal with Venus finally leaving Capricorn and entering into Aquarius, the sign of technology. And before Venus was in Capricorn, it was actually in Sagittarius, which is the sign of optimism, risks, gambling, and faith. So people were a lot more financially risky, and what we noticed is how this marked, a rally upwards and a lot of euphoria. And notice how Venus entered Sagittarius after the initial price increase. And that's because optimism and greed only enters the market when people already see major gains. That's when they kind of jump in late. And Venus in Sagittarius increased that. And it was a very short-lived transit. It only lasted up until November 5th. This was October 7th, and this was November 5th when Venus entered Capricorn. And Venus has been in Capricorn for a very long time, and this has been this very boring and fearful period of decline. But what we know about markets is that they have an element of balance. Nothing can only go down. When there is large decreases, it's creating pressure for increase. And so now we're trying to forecast when this period could be and whether this was the bottom. And what we saw, or what astrology is showing us, is that on March 6th, Venus entered Aquarius. And so this was the chart. Without getting too complicated into it, because it's not the main focus of this video, what I saw is that this transit, when Venus enters Aquarius, was going to be a highly optimistic period, financially speaking, because Venus is the planet of finances, and it shows the flow of liquidity, the flow of money, where money is flowing. And when it's in Aquarius, this is flowing towards technologies. And at the time that Venus entered Aquarius, we had Pisces, the sign of possibilities and potential. It's about imagination, and it's about the things that are not yet, the things that are possible but have not yet materialized. And Jupiter is all about optimism. The sun is all about excitement and energy. And with these being rising at the time of Venus entering Aquarius, I just saw that this was a highly optimistic period financially, especially in the realm of financial technologies, because Aquarius is about the internet, it's about technology, it's about networks, and it's about revolution, innovation. So this was astrology was showing that this was a favorable time to participate in things such as cryptocurrencies. And in general, it's been a positive time to participate in things such as cryptocurrency, because we have this slow-moving planet Uranus in Taurus. Taurus is the sign of Venus. It's the sign of resources and money and wealth. And Uranus is about innovation, technology, change, progress, because it rules Aquarius. And it's been there since 2019. Had you put money into Chainlink, altcoin, in 2019, you would be up hundreds of times. Had you put money into Bitcoin when Uranus entered Taurus on, I believe, the first or second week of March 2019, so like the 10th or the 11th or so. I could be a little bit off. I'm just quoting off of memory, but I know it was March, early March. Had you put it into Bitcoin, you would be up 10 times. And the reason why is because all coins move a lot more when Bitcoin moves. But of course, they're more volatile. Now, this video is not financial advice. This is just for speculative purposes, and we're just using astrology, to make predictions. And we're just going to see later how it pans out. But hopefully this helps your guys' investment thesis, and you guys can make better decisions for your own, if this corresponds. So with that being said, the previous video that we left off was whether the bottom under that second dash, which was February 25th or so, whether that could be the bottom, because after that, Venus was leaving this pessimistic sign. It was leaving Capricorn, which it's been for that whole downwards period. And notice that as soon as it entered Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, the planet of fear, pessimism, limitations, and traditional forms of structure, things started looking dim, especially in the crypto sector. And so in this video, we're going to talk about how things turned around and why this is a pivotal moment for cryptocurrencies. So what we see is that in the previous video, I left off with the prediction that we could see a large rally for Bitcoin in the second half of March, especially after the full moon. And the reason why is because we talked about how full moons correspond with price bottoms. Every time there's a full moon, there tends to be a short-term low. So you can see it visually by looking at the dips in the chart. Every time there is a white dot, that's a full moon. And sometimes there is a delay. It's not always exactly on the date, but there's always one dip per full moon for the most part. So it's usually a good indicator. It helps, make decisions in the short term. And the last full moon was a little bit before February 25th. And as I was saying, Venus entered Aquarius, or was going to enter Aquarius on March 6th. So that led me to believe that since this was the last full moon of Venus being in Capricorn, that this point could have been the bottom. And sure enough, we have not revisited that point ever since, and we've built, some levels of support above it. And we're starting to cross above the 40K level. We're past it now, and we're kind of ranging above. But my prediction for the last video was that after this full moon in March, which was, like I was saying, full moons correspond with a bottom point. And we can see that the full moon happened yesterday on March 18th. And we had like this bottom just a little bit before. And You can really count bottoms within 5 days before or after a full moon. So with that being said, what we're seeing, technically speaking, is we're seeing actually some good signs of reversal. First of all, we're seeing higher lows. And I have some indicators pulled up, but let me hide those. Ignore the white lines. These are just resistance levels that I drew. But I'm just drawing a line to show the higher lows. And so we're building this upwards direction, this upwards momentum. And bear with me because this is very important. And the reason being is because this upwards trend started when the sun entered into Aquarius. So we know that Aquarius is the sign of technology, and my thesis was that with Venus entering Aquarius, we would see a lot of financial optimism and a lot of favorable energies for financial technologies, cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, and how this could actually lead to a large rally, especially after the full moon, which would be like a final, resistance level or like a final bottom, because full moons always correspond with some sort of bottom for the most part. Some of them are less exaggerated than others. And what I had not considered is how the sun, which entered Aquarius on January 21st, or the 20th actually, around this period, was actually the bottom. And ever since the sun has entered this sign, Aquarius, which is about technology, this has actually been the trend reversal. But at the time of March or February 25th, it still seemed like we were low. But now that Venus has entered Aquarius, now we really see the trend reversal. And we're going through a period, astrologically, where a lot of planets are transiting through the sign Aquarius. But as you can tell, on January 20th, the sun entered Aquarius. The sun is all about energy and passion, and it entered the sign of technology. So optimistic transit in terms of technology, innovation, especially in the financial sectors. So if we now go to current times, like the current date, which is the 20th of March, we see that Venus is in Aquarius now. The sun has now moved on to Pisces. But Venus is the exaltation planet of Pisces. And so with it being in Aquarius, we still have this connection of the sun to Aquarius. And even when the sun goes into Aries, we will have this connection because Aries is ruled by Mars. And Mars will be in the sign of Aquarius when the sun enters Aries, which actually it entered today, as of me recording this. So as you can tell, the sun is at 0 degrees Aries. It's very recent. So we're just seeing this back to back Aquarius energy. Aquarius is all about technology and innovation. And this period, ever since, the 21st of January, we've seen a reversal in direction. So with that being said, this is a very pivotal moment for cryptocurrencies because there's also going to be an upcoming conjunction between Venus and Saturn in Aquarius. And Saturn and Venus are a positive aspect. Saturn is exalted in the sign of Venus. Venus rules Taurus and it rules Libra. And Saturn is exalted in Libra. And Saturn is all about credibility, it's all about government, it's all about law. And Libra is all about society, it's all about agreements. And in general, to sum up this conjunction, the energy that we'll be seeing when Venus is conjunct to Saturn, which happens on March 28th, is a period of a lot of wealth being created in the financial sectors, but just generally speaking, favorable sentiment. Because Saturn is about the emotions of the public, Venus is about wealth, and it's about benevolence. It's about positive, like not so much positivity, but like value. And Saturn being about governments and Venus being about value and being about agreements, this indicates a period where like some sort of good news or some sort of major news from governments or large institutions could bring optimism and trust to the financial sectors and technology, cryptocurrencies and such. So that's happening on March 28th. And with that being said, the reason why this is such a pivotal moment is because when we take my moving averages, which is a indicator of resistance and support, we see that first of all, the 9-day moving average has crossed above the, I believe, the 200-day or the 36-day. My 200-day is for the simple moving averages. And the more important is when this yellow moving average, which is the 18-day, crosses over the 36. And whenever this crosses over, this indicates a rally. In the past, when it crossed over and when it held, especially when the bar crossed over by a large segment, this was a complete turnaround, a rally in the market. And this coincides with the positive energies that we're seeing in the second half of March. And this could happen as soon as tomorrow even. If we don't cross over, then of course we're going to see more sideways or even downwards, movement. Perhaps just more sideways though, because I do see support on the red moving average, which is the 9. Now, for the most part, as I was saying, every time this 18 crosses the 36, it is a extended rally. You see, an extended increase in price. It crosses right here, which I'm gonna circle. It crosses, right here in the past. And let's see, where's another example? And when it crosses, it tends to hold for a long period of time. So this is an indicator that I like to use. The 18-day moving average. And we're looking like we're at that moment right now, potentially. So this is a pivotal moment. This will decide which direction we go. But I can tell right now astrologically that we're in an optimistic period. So if this does cross, this will indicate the rally that I was talking about in the previous astrological update. And we see this also on the 2-day chart. Pretty soon the 18 is the 9 is crossing the 18. So once this red line crosses the 18, which is basically the same indicator that we're looking at on the other one, this is going to increase, the price. It's going to give it enough momentum to cross over the white line, which would be a 72-day. As soon as the red crosses the yellow, and we're right at that moment. Now, the only thing that needs to happen is for Bitcoin to hold above this candle, or sorry, this moving average until the end of this trading day. Hopefully, if it can hold above the 41,600 level, then that's really a positive sign, and this would indicate likely a rally, as we were predicting. So just in general terms, it's a positive period now for cryptocurrencies because of Venus being in Aquarius. We have this big conjunction between Venus and Saturn happening on the 28th, which I'm going to mark with a vertical indicator. And I'm going to color it a little bit differently. And this is going to create, this is indicating a positive sentiments of trust. Venus and Saturn together create trust. Saturn is exalted in the signs of Venus, and it does well in Taurus, which is the other sign of Venus. It's exalted in Libra, one of the signs, but it does well in Taurus, which is an earth sign. So it creates wealth and trust. Now, that basically sums up what I wanted to talk about for this video. There's a lot of stuff to talk about in general, but we'll save that for a subsequent video. And with that being said, I appreciate you guys watching. We'll see how this plays out, but today, which is the first day of Aries is about a new beginning. It's a new year, new energy. This is a really pivotal moment for cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. And once Bitcoin moves, the altcoins follow. So whatever Bitcoin does, the charts of other coins tend to follow. Like, since Bitcoin has been recovering, coins such as Ethereum have also started recovering. So other coins are going through the same kind of motion. Some more than others. But once Bitcoin makes a large rally, this is going to indicate a lot more gains for the altcoins. But with that being said, that wraps up this astrological update. Hopefully it was insightful. And if you guys enjoyed, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to this channel for more content. And other than that, I will talk to you guys sometime soon in another video. Peace.